First, a breakfast to really set you up for the day. Easy homemade spicy baked beans with deliciously light potato cakes.
The first big thing that I remember as a kid was bacon and beans. So this is like a little rendition, except we're using the most amazing pancetta. Ernie, come on, psst, disappear. Go and chase some mice. Now, pan on, get nice and hot. I'm gonna turn these beans into glamorous beans. Pancetta into the pan. Lightly season that. It's cured, so it doesn't need that much seasoning. Now, start frying off that pancetta. It's amazing how the individual tastes of baked beans, they're somewhat bland, so I always like to make them a little bit more spicy. So, a nice, finely chopped chilli with the seeds. Chilli in. Now, a bit of garlic. Crushed. Phenomenal. Get that bacon really nice and crispy. Fry off the chilli and the garlic. And then onions.
My top tip for dicing, finely slice downwards. Slice across, then cut down to simply dice.
Bacon, onion, chilli, garlic. That flavour all contained in that little pan. Once you've sweated the onion off, a little bit of sugar in there. The brown sugar will start to caramelise, darken, and enrich it as well at the same time. That looks beautiful. Now, a couple of tablespoons of cider vinegar. Deglaze the pan. It's got that really nice, powerful kick to it now. Spice that up with one of my favourite seasonings, Worcester sauce. Bring that to the boil. And add your passata, pureed tomatoes. Turn that down.
Simmer the sauce to reduce, then add in the classic baked bean, haricot beans. You can buy haricot beans dried or canned. They are packed with protein and have a lovely soft texture.
Turn down the heat and let the beans absorb all that beautiful, spicy tomato sauce. And just let that simmer now. 5 or 6 minutes.
Now for my potato cakes. They're a fantastic way to use leftover boiled potatoes and are so easy to make. I'm making a simple potato dough by adding flour and butter to the mash.
That gives it that nice sort of cakey texture. And it goes from this leftover ball potato to this nice, light, floury potato heaven. Take a nice spoon of potato, lightly flour your board. We're going to fry these crisp on the outside and just nice and fluffy in the centre. Now, get your pan nice and hot. We'll start off with olive oil into the pan. Now, put the butter around the outside because it starts heating up. By the time it goes into the centre, it's almost sort of nut brown. Gently. Turn it over. Love that nice, light, crisp. They look beautiful. Now, take them out. Oh. Potato cake in the middle. And a nice, beautiful spoon of beans. Growing up with beans on toast as a treat, still to this day, after all those years, has not changed my love or attitude for beans, especially cooked like that.
My smoky, spicy, homemade baked beans with light and creamy potato cakes, comfort and satisfaction on a plate.
When I was growing up, food in Britain was somewhat different to what it is now. No one had heard of organic. You couldn't even buy avocados in the shops where I lived. Paris kitchens might have been cooking nouvelle cuisine, but it certainly hadn't made any inroads round our way. My ultimate lunch when I was growing up was very plain, pretty trashy, but I still love it now and again. Fish fingers with a delicious chip butty. The secret of a good chip butty is in the potato. Now, these are Desiree potatoes. One of my first ever jobs was working in a chip shop. I used to put sacks and sacks of potatoes into the rumbler, which was then the potato peeler, all day long. Today, I'm gonna do something a little bit healthier.
For my oven chips with a twist, simply peel, slice, and blanch for 3 to 4 minutes. Drain, season, and cover well with paprika. Spread evenly over an oiled baking tray and place into a preheated oven for 20 minutes. Simple as that. Next up, easy fish fingers.
This is pollock, a really nice, firm, delicious fish. Cut the fish in finger-size battens of fish. Put them onto your plate and just lightly salt them. You can do that literally 20 minutes, 30 minutes before you start cooking the fish. It firms the fish up beautifully and it allows it to become a little bit more durable, especially in the pan.
Now for the coating. Start by thoroughly coating the fish in seasoned flour.
And then just roll it to get rid of those little sharp corners, because then it stops those corners almost burning in the pan. In to your egg wash and really coat them. Wonderful. And then this is dill. Goes brilliantly well with the fish. And run the dill through my breadcrumbs. That makes it more aromatic. Lay them onto your breadcrumbs. Nothing wrong with the chip butty, nothing wrong with fish fingers. Just give it a lovely modern twist. Beautiful.
Once the fish fingers are thoroughly coated, they're ready to pan fry. And they'll need around 3 minutes on each side.
I want the fish fingers to be nice and crispy. Get a really nice colour on them first, and then we'll flip them over and finish them with butter. Bring the heat up into the pan. A nice little knob of butter. That'll work wonders with the breadcrumbs and the dill. Nice and carefully. Take them out. They look and smell incredible. Stay nice and crispy.
Now to assemble my chip butty, starting with buttered, thick, crusty bread.
Get your slice of bread. Mop up that amazing flavour. On. Slice in half. Never slice in an angle. My mouth is salivating. Beautiful. On with the chip butty. There's one thing missing, and it signifies that I've never forgotten the joy of comfort food. But my God, that makes me feel like a 9-year-old. Now, excuse me for one moment, will you? I want to stuff my face.
Homemade fish fingers and my ultimate chip butty. So simple to make, but trust me, it tastes amazing.
A dish becomes a classic because it's delicious and somehow strikes a chord with us. It just works. Sometimes these dishes can become tired, but a clever twist helps make them fresh again.
You can't get more classic than a centuries-old midday meal of bread, cheese and beer. Reinvented and marketed by pubs as a ploughman's lunch in the 60s, I'm now giving it my 21st century take.
Right, ploughman's with the most amazing but super simple beer-baked bread, hearty and full of flavour.
For a really quick and easy bread dough, sieve a mix of wholemeal and self-raising white flour with a good pinch of salt.
Salt is really important in the bread. It's the first thing I do once I've cracked it and smelt. You want to smell that salt baked throughout. Beer in, about 250 mils of beer. And the reason why this recipe works so well is that the beer, it's got that yeast. So naturally, it's going to work beautifully. Give that a really good mix. I'm looking for the mixture to be quite wet. If the dough becomes too firm, then it's going to cook dry in the centre. Just as it starts to fall through the whisk. That is perfect. Beautiful.
This mix will work really well as one large loaf, but I want to make my ploughman's a little bit more special.
Small tins give it that kind of intimacy. And I quite like having my own little loaf. Give the moulds a really nice lining with butter. make sure you butter the top. Now, tablespoon of flour. Dust inside the mould. That will stop your mixture sticking. Tap out any excess. 3/4 fill your little moulds. And we're going to allow it to sort of rise just so it comes above the mould and forms this really nice miniature loaf. Onto the tray, centimetre apart. Into the oven, 25 to 30 minutes at 180. Something quite nice about the smell of home-baked bread in the kitchen. Delicious.
No ploughman's is complete without pickled onions.
Red onion is a lot sweeter, less harsh than a white onion. The early days of ploughman's, you've got those ghastly, sharp, pickled onions that make you almost cry when you're crunching them. I'm gonna lightly pickle my red onion. Just push your fingers through so you get these nice sort of onion rings. A little touch of salt, a little sprinkle of sugar, and then a couple of cloves in there. That gives it a really nice sort of perfume and sort of makes the pickling slightly more mellow. Red wine vinegar. Now, if you haven't got red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, it's just as good, but red matches the red onion, so it goes hand in glove. A couple of tablespoons of vinegar. Just give that a really good mix.
To speed up the pickling process, use a weight to put pressure on the onions.
As the weight presses down on the onions, the clove, the salt, the sugar, the vinegar work their magic. And it comes out with a really nice, light, fragrant pickle.
For my 21st century ploughman's, I'm creating an all-in-one salad and bringing the traditional elements together with a punchy dressing. A tablespoon of English mustard, a tablespoon of honey, a touch of salt and pepper, and finish off with white wine vinegar and olive oil.
Now, generally, it's sort of 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. That's the sort of general base. You don't really think of a vinaigrette with a ploughman's, but this is a really nice sort of modern approach to a ploughman's.
For my ploughman's salad, I'm using a mixture of robust and crunchy romaine lettuce and punchy watercress.
If I was making a watercress soup, I'd use the stalks. But the stalks are a little bit bitter, so I just grab them like that, pinch them, and then twist. Very peppery, very hot, but so juicy. Watercress in, your celery, chop it nice and finely. It's the one thing that everybody leaves is that stick of celery, so scatter it amongst the salad.
A bit of oomph and colour from some sliced radishes and sweetness from a thinly sliced apple. Whilst you're busy throwing your ploughman's salad together, do not forget about your beer bread.
Before it comes out, I'm going to glaze the top with a little touch of milk. That'll put a really nice finish to the bread. Back in for the last 5 minutes. Now for the magic in the ploughman's. Generally, you'd see it as a ham or cheddar or Stilton ploughman's. It's hard to dictate which one's the best.
So, for the ultimate ploughman's, I'm adding all 3.
With your cheddar, peel some nice shards of that delicious, creamy cheddar. Just get them dancing on top. Your dressing, drizzle round in circles. And then finally, our delicious, lightly pickled onions. Give them a good squeeze. And look, just dot the onions around. Bread is ready. It's got that nice, yeasty smell. Warm, crusty, and delicious. And there you go. That is my classic, modern version of a traditional, stunning ploughman's. Wow.
My delicious all-in-one ploughman's salad with individual beer bread loaves updated for the 21st century.